Hello there, good evening. Welcome to the 10th annual Goffstown High School Poetry Out Loud recitation competition. Before we get started tonight, just a few ground rules. Number one, please locate and silence your cell phones. You don't want me to write you up, then I will. Also, please, no flash photography. There'll be plenty of opportunities following the competition tonight for photos at the conclusion of the event, so try to save it for then, please. Poetry Out Loud was created by the National Endowment for the Arts and the Poetry Foundation in 2006. Here in New Hampshire, the program is run by the New Hampshire State Council on the Arts on a shoestring budget, I might add, here in New Hampshire, as most things are. Is there anyone here tonight from the New Hampshire State Council? Sometimes they sneak in and they're anonymous. I'd like to thank them, though. Tonight's winner will go to the regional competition at New England College on March 9th, and the winner of that competition will go on to the state competition at the State House in Concord the following week. Last year, we sent a contestant from the regional competition all the way to the state, and wouldn't you know, D. Etienne won the whole thing and went from New Hampshire to Washington, D.C. last spring, and although he didn't win, really made Goffstown High School in New Hampshire proud for his participation there. In fact, Kurt McDermott, our accuracy judge tonight, accompanied D. To Washington. And I think the most meaningful thing I heard about that experience was reciting poetry on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. He and some other participants. It must have been quite an experience. Great. I'd like to get on and introduce the judges for tonight. Our judges include Sherry Heber, Laura Peach, and Summer Whitmore. Sherry Heber is an attorney who works as general counsel for the New Hampshire Supreme Court Office of Bar Admissions. She's a longtime lover of poetry and studied oral interpretation of literature in college. Her son and daughter graduated from GHS and have introduced Sherry to the wonderful world of poetry slams. She is thrilled that GHS has been able to use the Heber Theater to bring music, arts, and poetry to the Goffstown community. Laura Peach is a self-described appreciator of the arts, whether literature, theater, visual arts, and certainly poetry. Ms. Peach's educational credentials include Middlebury College, BA English major, MBA Pace University, New York City, and Andrew Mellon Fellowship for the Graduate Management Program for Women. She happily retired from a 3-decade business career in new product development and product marketing at Siemens, Austria, Pennsylvania, and Kraft General Foods. Currently, she resides on the New Hampshire, she serves on the New Hampshire NHPR Board of Directors Sounding Board. Ms. Peach is a longtime resident of New Boston, and all 3 of her grown children graduated from GHS. She's honored to participate as a judge in this literary event for the third time, terrific. So our third judge tonight, Summer Whitmore, is judging here for the first time. We certainly hope not the last. She's a traveling poet who's planted down roots at Goffstown High School as a math teacher. But she's really a poet in disguise. So please welcome all 3 of our judges. Tonight's accuracy judge is Kurt McDermott, English Department, Goffstown High School. He's been doing this as long as he's been here, I think, as accuracy judge. And he's really also an excellent English teacher and a real mentor for kids in Poetry Out Loud. So thank you, Kurt. We also have a tabulator tonight, and of course for that we needed a math teacher. And we have Jess Brown, she's here someplace, usually hidden in a back room someplace, tabulating the scores tonight. And she'll get the scores turned right around pretty quickly. Here's out of the order of the program. Am I forgetting anyone? I don't think so. Here's how the order of the program will go. It'll be in the same order as you have tonight in your program. I'll call you up at that time, and each student will recite their first poem. And then we'll finish that round and then go back and have a second round following that. Fair enough? Before we start, though, we're going to start with a calibration round by a student who was a 2016 classroom winner here at Goffstown High School. And he sort of gives the judges a warm-up round here. And I'd like to introduce Jake Roberge. Jake's a senior in Mrs. Brown's English class. He enjoys soccer, Latin, and singing in the chorus. He says he was never very fond of English class, but junior year, the Poetry Out Loud selection piqued his interest and brought him back around, although he still prefers math and science classes, wouldn't you know. He would like to thank everybody for letting him be involved, even without making the cut, and he wishes luck to all the competitors tonight. Jake?
All right. Hi, I'm Jacob. I'll be reciting Echo by Daryl Hine. Echo that loved hid within a wood, would to herself rehearse her weary woes. Oh, she cried, and all the rest unsaid, identical, came back in sorry echo. Echo for the fix that she was in, invisible, distraught by mocking passion, passionate, ignored, as good as dumb, employed that oh, unchanged in repetition. Shun love if you suspect that he shuns you. Use with him no reproaches whatsoever, ever you knew, supposing him to know, no melody from which you might recover. Cover your ears, dear echo, do not hear. Here is no supplication but your own. Only your sighs return upon the air, ere their music from the mouth be gone.
Thank you. Tonight's first contestant is Arden Brennan. I asked each student to provide a brief biographical sketch, and Arden told me that she's a junior here at Goffstown High School, and she likes to dance. So I'm sure there's more.
Every Single Day by John Straley after Raymond Carver's Hummingbird. Suppose I said the word springtime and I wrote the words King Salmon on a piece of paper and mailed it to you. When you opened it, would you remember that afternoon we spent together in the yellow boat when the early whales were feeding and we caught the first fish of the year? Or would you remember that time off Cape Flattery when you were a little girl, your father smoking, telling stories as he ran the boat, then that tug and zing of that very first fish spooling off into the gray-green world, you laughing and brushing back your hair before setting the hook? I know I am hard to understand sometimes, particularly when you are standing at the post office with only a piece of paper saying King Salmon on it, but think of it as a promissory note, and that electric tug, that thrill, pulling your mind into deep water is how I feel about you every single day.
Terrific. Our next contestant is Jeremiah Cullen. Jeremiah enjoys rock climbing, spending time with friends, and going to coffee shops. He says he likes solving puzzles and challenging his mind in interesting and unique ways.
Hello. Hello. I'm Jeremiah, and I will be reciting Zoom by Simon Armitage. It begins as a house, an end terrace in this case, but it will not stop there. Soon it is an avenue, which cambers arrogantly past the Mechanics Institute, turns left at the main road without even looking, and quickly it is a town, with all 4 major clearing banks, a daily paper, and a football team pushing for promotion. On it goes, oblivious of the planning acts, the green belts, and before we know it, it is out of our hands. City, nation, hemisphere, universe, hammering out in all directions until suddenly, mercifully, it is drawn aside through the eye of a black hole and bulleted into a neighboring galaxy, emerging smaller and smoother than a billiard ball but weighing more than Saturn. People stop me in the streets, badger me in the checkout queue, and ask, what is this? This, that is so small and so very smooth, but whose mass is greater than the ringed planet? It's just words. I assure them, but they will not have it.
Christina Chiquette is a junior who loves to play her violin. The inspirations behind her choice of poems sprout from her love of music and poetry. Mingus at the Showplace mentions, in fact, Charles Mingus Jr., an American bassist known as the Angry Man of Jazz.
I'll be reciting Mingus at the Showplace by William Matthews. I was miserable, of course, for I was 17, and so I swung into action and wrote a poem. And it was miserable, for that was how I thought poetry worked. You digested experience and shat literature. It was 1960 at the Showplace, long since defunct on West 4th Street, and I sat at the bar, casting beer money from a thin reel of ones. The kid in the city, big ears, like a puppy. And I knew Mingus was a genius. I knew 2 other things, but they were wrong as it happened. So I made him look at the poem. There's a lot of that going around, he said. And sweet baby Jesus, he was right. He laughed amiably. He didn't look as if he thought bad poems were dangerous the way some poets do. If they were baseball executives, they'd plot to destroy sandlots everywhere so that the game could be saved from children. Of course, later that night, he fired his pianist in mid-number and flurried him from the stand. We've suffered a diminuendo in personnel, he explained, and the band played on.
Garrett Gifford is a junior at Goffstown High School, and he likes to play basketball. This is his first year competing in Poetry Out Loud competition, and he would like to thank his friends and family for encouraging him. Garrett?
Thank you, Mr. Malloy. I'll be reciting Kindness by Yusef Kamanyaka for Carol Rigalot. When deeds splay before us, precious as gold, and unused chances stripped from the winebone, we know the moment kind-heartedness walks in. Each praise be echoes us back as the years uncount themselves, eating salt. Though blood first shaped us on the climbing wheel, the human mind lit by the savannah's ice star and thistle rose, your knowing gaze enters a room and opens the day, saying we were made for fun. Even the bedazzled brute knows when sunlight falls through leaves across whole knives on the table. If we see it push shadows aside, growing closer, are we less broken? A barometer, temperature gauge, a ruler in minus fractions and pedigrees, a thingamajig, a probe with an all-seeing eye. What do we need to measure kindness? Every unheld breath, every unkind leap year. Sometimes a sober voice is enough to calm the waters and drive away the false witnesses, saying, look, here are the broken trees beauty brought to us, earthbound sentinels.
Sophia Harkins. Sophia is a sophomore at GHS. She's a member of the art club and takes a great interest in painting and videography. She's also an active feminist who hopes one day to enact change in the world.
I'll be reciting. Not that. That's not it. Thank you. I'll be reciting Cathedral of Salt by Nick Flynn. Beneath all this, I'm carving a cathedral of salt. I keep the entrance hidden. No one seems to notice the hours I'm missing. I'll bring you one night. It's where I go when I hang up the phone. Neither you nor your soul is waiting for me at the end of this. I know that. The salt nearly clear after I chisel out the pews, the see-through altar, the opaque panes of glass that depict the stations of our cross. Here is the day we met. Here is the day we remember we met. The air down here will kill us, some say. Some wear paper masks. Some still imagine the air above the green trees, thick with bees building solitary nests out of petals. The endless white will blind you, some say. But what is there to see we haven't already seen? Some say it's like poking a stick into a river. You might as well simply write about the stick. Or the river. Thank you.
Dan Prevey is currently attending GHS as a senior. Yeah, I think he says his final year as a senior too. Not sure quite what that means, but hopefully his only year as a senior. He only just recently discovered his enjoyment for poetry after getting second place at the Poetry Slam held here at GHS last week. He hopes that one day he will become a voice actor so that he may entertain the world.
I'll be reciting An Autumn Sunset by Edith Wharton. 1. Leaguered in fire, the wild black promontories of the coast extend their savage silhouettes. The sun, in universal carnage, sets in halting higher. The motionless storm clouds mask their sullen threats like an advancing mob in sword point's pen that balked, yet stands at bay. Mid-zenith hangs the fascinated day, in wind-lustrated hollows crystalline, a wan Valkyrie, whose wide pinions shine across the sanguine ruins of the fray, and in her hand swings eye o'er head above the waster of war, the silver torchlight of the evening star, wherewith to search the faces of the dead. 2. Lagooned in gold, seem not those jetty promontories rather the outposts of some ancient land forlorn, uncomforted or mourn, where old oblivions gather, the melancholy, unconsoling fold of all things that go utterly to death and mix no more. No more with life's perpetually awakening breath. Shall time not ferry me to such a shore, over such sailless seas, to walk with hope-slain importunities in miserable marriage? Nay, shall not all things be there forgot, save the sea's golden barrier and black, close, crouching promontories, dead to all shames, forgotten of all glories, shall I not wander there? A shadow shade, a specter self-destroyed, so purged of all remembrance and sucked back into the primal void, that should we on the shore phantasmal meet, I should not know the coming of your feet.
Alicia Edgar is a senior at GHS. She loves performing, is an active member in the performing arts. This is her first year doing poetry out loud, and she's really excited to be here. You can often find her being called Pipsqueak or Staples. Outside of school, she spends her time doing theater and jumping for performing opportunities whenever she can. In fact, she has a showcase in LA in July, and she performed with Interlakes Professional Theater in the competition of Addams Family this past summer.
The Lamb by Linda Gregg. It was a picture I had after the war, a bombed English church.
I was too young to know the word English or war, but I knew the picture. The ruined city still seemed noble. The cathedral, with its roof blown off, was not less godly. The church was the same, plus rain and sky. Birds flew in and out of the holes God's fist made in the walls. All our desire for love or children was treated like rags by the enemy. I knew so much and sang anyway, like a bird who will sing until it is brought down. When they took away the trees, the child picks up a stick and says, "This is a tree. This the house and the family." As we might, through a door of what had been a house, into the field of rubble, walks a single lamb, tilting its head. Curious, unafraid, and hungry. Thank you.
Sam Martell, there he is. Sam is a junior this year and is very active in the performing arts here at GHS, including in the upcoming production of The Little Mermaid.
I will be reciting The Death of Allegory by Billy Collins. I am wondering, what became of all those tall abstractions that used to pose robed and statuesque in paintings and parade about on the pages of the Renaissance, displaying their capital letters like license plates, truth cantering on a powerful horse, chastity eyes downcast, fluttering with veils. Each one was marble come to life, a thought in a coat. Courtesy, bowing with one hand always extended, villainy, sharpening an instrument behind a wall, reason with her crown, and constancy alert behind a helm. They are all retired now, consigned to a Florida for tropes. Justice is there, standing beside an open refrigerator. Valor lies in bed, listening to the rain. Even death has nothing to do but mend his cloak and hood, and all their props are locked away in a warehouse, hourglasses, globes, blindfolds, and shackles. Even if you called them back, there are no places left for them to go, no garden of mirth or bower of bliss. The valley of forgiveness is lined with condominiums, and chainsaws are howling in the forest of despair. Here on the table near the window is a vase of peonies, and next to it, black binoculars and a money clip. Exactly the kind of things we now prefer. Objects that sit quietly on a line in lowercase. Themselves and nothing more. A wheelbarrow, an empty mailbox, a glass razor resting in a glass ashtray. As for the others, those great ideas on horseback and long-haired virtues in embroidered gowns, it looks as though they have traveled down that road you see on the final page of a storybook, the one that winds up a green hillside and disappears into an unseen valley where everyone must be fast asleep. Thank you.
Lexi Gorton. Lexi is the class and full student council president. She was first introduced to Poetry Out Loud her freshman year with Mrs. Murchison and was unable to follow D. Etienne on his journey through the Poetry Out Loud competition the past 3 years. Poetry gives her a sense of security and enjoyment, and she wouldn't be where she is today without the support of her mom and brothers.
Bleeding Heart by Carmen Jimenez Smith. My heart is bleeding. It bleeds upward and fills my mouth up with salt. It bleeds because of a city in ruins, the chair still warm from sister's body, because it will all be irreproducible. My heart bleeds because of baby bear not finding mama bear, and it bleeds to the tips of my fingers like I painted my nails crimson. Sometimes my heart bleeds so much I am a raisin. It bleeds until I am a quivering, ragged clot, bleeds at the ending with the heroine and her sunken cancer eyes, at the ending with the plaintive flute over smoke-choked killing fields. I'm bleeding a river of blood right now, and it's wearing a culvert in me for the blood. My heart rises up in me, becomes the cork of me, and I choke on it. I am bleeding for you, and for me, and for the tiny babies in the IED blown leg. It bleeds because I'm made that way, all filled up with blood. My sloppy heart, a sponge, filled with blood to squeeze onto any circumstance. Because it is mine, it will always bleed. My heart bled today. It bled onto the streets and the steps of City Hall. It bled in the pizza parlor with the useless jukebox. I've got so much blood to give inside and outside of any milieu, even for a bad zoning decision. I'll bleed so much, you'll be bleeding. All of us bleeding in and out, like it's breathing or kissing. And because it is righteous and terrible and red.
I'm just going to read Mike Poliquin's bio verbatim. Just, my name is Mike Poliquin. Some call me Biggie P. I was born on September 16th, 2001, and I'm 14. I'm interested in many different things. I love animals and believe we should take more care of them. Theater is a huge part of my life. This is where many of my friends and non-biological family are found. In a way, it works like a team, and we care about each other. Mike?
Hi, I'm Michael Poliquin, and that mic is too low. I'll be performing The Last Laugh by Wilfred Owen. "Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm hit," he said, and died. Whether he vainly cursed or prayed indeed, the bullets chirped, "In vain, vain, vain." Machine guns chuckled, "Tut, tut, tut, tut," and the big gun guffawed. Another sighed, "Oh, mother, mother, dad," then smiled at nothing, childlike, being dead. And the lofty shrapnel cloud leisurely gestured, "Fool," and the splinters spat and tittered. "My love," one moaned. Love languid seemed his mood, till slowly lowered, his whole face kissed the mud, and the bayonet's long teeth grinned. Rabbles of shells hooted and groaned, and the gas hissed. Thank you.
And Catherine Wentz is a freshman here at GHS. She enjoys playing the double bass, reading and listening to her favorite bands, 21 Pilots and the Front Bottoms. She's very excited, and I don't know that band. I'm going to have to listen. 21, okay. And she's very excited to share her love of poetry with you tonight.
Okay. I will be performing April Midnight by Arthur Simmons. Side by side through streets at midnight, roaming together through the tumultuous night of London in the miraculous April weather. Roaming together under the gaslight, days work over, how the spring calls to us here in the city, calls to the heart from the heart of a lover. Cool to the wind blows, fresh in our faces, cleansing, entrancing. After the heat and the fumes and the footlights where you dance and I watch your dancing. Good it is to be here together. Good to be roaming, even in London, even at midnight. Lover-like in a lover's gloaming, you the dancer and I the dreamer. Children together, wandering lost in the night of London in the miraculous April weather. Thank you.
That concludes the first round. And for the second round, we'll go in the same order as we did. If I have to make one remark, I would just say that this is a wonderful, strong group this year. Just terrific. As good as any group we've ever had. So we'd start again with Arden Brennan.
Novel by Arthur Rimbaud. We aren't serious when we're 17. One fine evening, to hell with beer and lemonade. Noisy cafes with their shining lamps. We walk under the green linden trees of the park. The linden smell good in the good June evenings. At times, the air is so scented that we close our eyes. The wind, laden with sounds, the town isn't far, has the smell of grapevines and beer. There you can see a very small patch of dark blue framed by a little branch, pinned up by a naughty star that melts in gentle quivers, small and very white. Nights in June, 17 years old, we are overcome by it all. The sap is champagne and it goes to our head. We talk a lot and feel a kiss on our lips, trembling there like a small insect. Our wild heart moves through novels like Robinson Crusoe, when in the light of a pale street lamp a girl goes by, attractive and charming, under the shadow of her father's terrible collar. And as she finds you incredibly naive, while clicking her little boots, she turns abruptly and in a lively way, and then cavatinas die on your lips. You are in love, occupied until the month of August. You are in love. Your sonnets make her laugh. All your friends go off. You are ridiculous. Then one evening, the girl you worship deigned to write to you. That evening, you return to the bright cafes. You ask for a beer or a lemonade. We're not serious when we're 17 and when we have green linden trees in the park. Thank you.
Jeremiah Cullen.
For my second poem, I will be reciting Over and Under by John Brehm. So sexy to slide underneath the river, to sit in a snake-like, submarine-like subway car and freely imagine the world above. The Brooklyn Bridge, invisibly trembling with the weight of its own beauty, the East River, still guided by the grooves Walt Whitman's eyes wore in it, the bulldog tugboats pushing passively impressive, broad-bottom barges around and their double-decker orange and black Staten Island ferries, with an aura of overwork, pack mule mournfulness, and just beyond them the Atlantic Ocean, which I lately learned was brought here by an ice comet 3 billion years ago. which explains a few things, like why people feel so alienated, and of course, the thoughts being thought of every person in New York City at this moment. Vast schools of undulating fish curving and rising in the cloud swirling wind wave sky. The vaster emptiness of non-thought which holds them and which they try not to think about. And you, lying there in bed in your 6th floor walk-up sublet on St. Mark's Place. Such a breathtaking ascension, imagining me rising now to meet you.
Christina Chiquette.
Eating Poetry by Mark Strand. Ink runs from the corners of my mouth. There is no happiness like mine. I have been eating poetry. The librarian does not believe what she sees. Her eyes are sad, and she walks with her hands in her dress. The poems are gone. The light is dim. The dogs are on the basement stairs and coming up. Their eyeballs roll, their blonde legs burn like brush. The poor librarian begins to stamp her feet and weep. She does not understand. When I get on my knees and lick her hand, she screams. I am a new man. I snarl at her and bark. I romp with joy in the bookish dark.
Garrett Gifford.
Jesus, Christina, all this happy poetry, and I'm up here like all serious and stuff. Oh, here we go. Okay, we got this. Oh, sorry, I'm a perfectionist. Oh my. All right, we're good. I will be reciting Grief by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I told you, hopeless grief is passionless, that only men, incredulous of despair, half taught in anguish through the midnight air, beat upward to God's throne in loud access of shrieking and reproach. Full desertness, in souls as countries, leave silent bare under the blanching midnight, under the blanching vertical eye glare of the absolute heavens. Deep-hearted man, express grief for thy dead in silence, like to death. Most like a monumental statue set in everlasting watch and moveless woe, till itself crumble to the dust beneath. Touch it. The marble eyelids are not wet. If it could weep, it could. If it could weep, it could arise and go.
Sophia Harkins.
Enough by Suzanne Buffan. I am wearing dark glasses inside the house to match my dark mood. I have left all the sugar out of the pie. My rage is a kind of domestic rage. I learned it from my mother, who learned it from her mother, and so on. Surely the Greeks had a word for this. Now, surely the Germans do. The more words a person knows, to describe her private sufferings, the more distantly she can perceive them. I repeat the names of all the cities I've known and watch an ant drag its crooked shadow home. What does it mean to love the life we've been given, to act well the part that's been cast for us? Wind, light, fire, time. A train whistles through the far hills. One day, I plan to be riding it. Thank you.
Dan Prevey.
End of Days Advice from an Ex-Zombie by Michael Derek Hudson. To think I used to be so good at going to pieces, gobbling my way through the cops, and spooking what's left of the girls. How did I get so far, sloughing off one knuckle at a time, jerking my mossy pelt along ruined streets? Those insistent, dreadful thuds when we stacked our futile selves against locked doors. Our mumbles and groans, such hungry nights staggering through the grid of looted malls, plastered with tattered flags of useless currency. I'd slobbered all over the busted glass and merchandise of America. But first, you'll have to figure out those qualities that separating what's being alive from who's already dead. Most of you will flunk that. Next, learn how to want one thing over and over, night after night. Most of you are good at that. Don't get tired. Don't cough into your leftovers. Don't think. Always stand by your hobgoblin buddies. Clutch at whatever's there. Learn to sniff out sundowns.
Alicia Edgar.
I Heard a Fly Buzz When I Died by Emily Dickinson. I heard a fly buzz when I died. The stillness in the room was like the stillness in the air between the heaves of storm. The eyes, though, were dry. The breaths of great. I heard a fly buzz when I died. The stillness in the room was like the stillness in the air between the heaves of storm. The eyes around were wrung dry. The breaths were given. For the last onset, when the king be witnessed in the room. I can't remember.
Good job. Takes a great deal of bravery for all of us to get up here, any of us to get up here. I have to give her a lot of credit. All of you have done a great job tonight. Sam Martell.
Richard Cory by Edward Arlington Robinson. Whenever Richard Corey went downtown, we people on the pavement looked at him. He was a gentleman from sole to crown, clean-favored and imperially slim. And he was always quietly arrayed, and he was always human when he talked, but still he fluttered pulses when he said, "Good morning," and he glittered when he walked. And he was rich, yes, richer than a king, and admirably schooled in every grace. In fine, we thought he was everything to make us wish that we were in his place. So on we worked, and waited for the light, and went without the meat, and cursed the bread. And Richard Corey, one calm summer night, went home and put a bullet through his head. Thank you.
Lexi Gorton.
Personal by Tony Hoagland. Don't take it personal, they said. But I did. I took it all quite personal. The breeze and the river and the color of the fields, the price of grapefruit and stamps, the wet hair of women in the rain. And I cursed what hurt me, and I praised what gave me joy, the most simple-minded of possible responses. The government reminded me of my father with its deafness and its laws. And the weather reminded me of my mom with her tropical squalls. Enjoy it while you can, they said of happiness. Think first, they said of talk. Get over it, they said at the school of broken hearts. But I couldn't, and I didn't, and I don't believe in the clean break. I believe in the compound fracture, served with a sauce of dirty regret. I believe in saying it all, and taking it all back, and saying it again for good measure, while the air fills up with I'm sorries like wheeling birds, and the trees look seasick in the wind. Oh, life, can you blame me for making a scene? You were that yellow caboose, the moon disappearing over a ridge of cloud. I was the dog chained in some fool's backyard, barking and barking, trying to convince everything else to take it personal too.
Lexi, you brought a big family with you tonight. Next is Mike Poliquin.
I'll be reciting A Poison Tree by William Blake. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath did end. I was angry with my foe. I told it not, my wrath did grow. And I watered it in fears, night and morning with my tears. And I sunned it with smiles and with soft, deceitful wiles. And it grew both day and night, till it bore an apple bright, and my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. And into my garden stole, when the night had veiled the pole. In the morning glad I see my foe outstretched beneath the tree. Thank you.
And Catherine Wentz.
Okay. I'll be reciting Cartoon Physics Part 1 by Nick Flynn. Children under, say, 10 shouldn't know the universe is ever expanding, inexorably pushing into the vacuum, galaxies swallowed by galaxies, whole solar systems collapsing. All of it acted out in silence. At 10, we were still learning the rules of cartoon animation, that if a man draws a door on a rock, only he can pass through it. Anyone else who tries will crash into the rock. 10-year-olds should stick with burning houses, car wrecks, ships going down, earthbound tangible disasters, arenas where they can be heroes. You can run back into a burning house. Sinking ships have lifeboats. The trucks will come with their ladders. If you jump, you'll be saved. A child places her hand on the roof of a school bus and drives across a city of sand. She knows the exact spot it will skid, at which point the bridge will give, who will swim to safety, and who will be pulled under by sharks. She will learn that if a man runs off the edge of a cliff, he will not fall until he realizes his mistake.
Well, that concludes our second round, and now we wait a few minutes while the math department sort of does their magic out back, or at least one member of them, to see what the final scores are. While we're waiting, I just would like to make one remark, and that was that every single one of you tonight was just terrific. I think the judges have a really hard job tonight. Just great. I'd also like to recognize two groups out here tonight. One is our English department. I think you all sitting over this way. You all stand up. Stand up. I know there are a few of you showed up. There we go. Yes. I'd like to say just one remark about Maureen Brown. Maureen in the room? She snuck out. Well, now that she's out, we can talk about her. That's what we usually do. So as the lead teacher for the English department, Maureen has really championed Poetry Out Loud since its inception. She has been there to do not only the week-to-week, the month-to-month details of getting this set up for this one night per year, but really champions it among faculty and administration as well. So thank you, Maureen, wherever you are. The other group to thank tonight are the wonderful families members that are here. If you're here, sort of signal by raising your hands or standing up. There are a lot of family members out there tonight and friends. That's just terrific. That's just terrific. Yeah, we see huge crowds at our football games for good reason. It's a lot of fun. And we're seeing those same kind of good crowds here for poetry. And I think that's just, what's that? It's just terrific. Just terrific. And we'll see more of that, I think, each year. In just a minute, we'll be calling up all the contestants tonight along with the lead judge to see where we go from here.
Hello. Hi. I'm Sherry Heber. I'm one of the judges tonight, and I'd like to ask everybody to come up on stage to be recognized. I'd like to start by just, on behalf of the judges and everyone else who's been involved in this event, just to congratulate all of the participants, not just the ones who are on stage, but everyone in Goffstown High School who participated in Poetry Out Loud this year. So congratulations to all of you. I've been judging Poetry Out Loud for, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years, and I'm just so impressed by how not only the quality of the presentations continues to improve, but the poems you select. I mean, it just kills me. Some of them, you're just really good at selecting appropriate poems for your personality and your presentation. And it's very impressive, and thank you all. So I'm going to announce our top 3 finalists here. And I'll start with the person in 3rd place is Catherine Wentz. Second place is Michael Poliquin. And our first place winner, who will represent Goffstown High School in the regional competition, is Alexia Gordon. All right, terrific. Thank you all for coming, and have a good evening. And I think